I'm gonna dye now this flying ant pattern. It's made out of foam and plastic bag. Materials are, well, you can use hooks from number 14 to, let's say, 16s and 18s, but the big flying ants in August here in Belgium, you can easily tie them on a 14. This is a B170 from Kamasan. So here do you have just simple foam, Heta foam or so. You can buy it in any shop, any architecture shop. Just slide a little bit of foam, let's say a strip of about 3 millimeter wide will be enough. Just cut enough that is comfortable for you to work with, and cut both tips. It's a relatively simple pattern. Just got to get the grip out of it. For tying thread, simple 8/0 normal uni thread. I start at the eye and go back until the middle of the shank. Around the middle of the shank, the tip of your foam fix, and then you go grabbing it in turns delicately. You can stretch it a little bit though as you go back, just so that it remains holding. And just tie your last turn before it bends down. There you tie it good, and you come back around the middle. That's okay. Now bend it over. Really, it's not necessary to really squeeze it because you will damage the material. Just bend it over and make it good tied. That will create the abdomen of the ant. Check that it's in a good position, a little bit tighter, and now with small little turns and stretching it a little bit, you go to the front, back, until you're completely at the eye of the hook. Okay. Once you're in the eye, you can tie it back a little bit more thoroughly. It doesn't matter what, because all the ants, they have at this section a very thin part in the body. I know that has a technical name, I don't know it. Now just simply hackle, black hackle from, I use those genetic that you can buy per 10 of such. Tie it in, and this is tie it in and go in front. Now, not too many turns of this one, but let's say a good 3 turns will do. 1, 2, and 3. I will explain you why I do it like this. Looks quite a lot of a hackle, but I will cut it off later in a special way. Most of the patterns of ants people make, they tie first the wings, but in fact I like to tie my wings on top, because the original, in the real insect, the wings are coming from the thoracic area, and actually they're not coming from the back. But just that's a simple detail, it won't matter for the fish. Here I just cut off all the top part from the hackle, because I like to leave space to my wing that will come. Now for the wings, as you go to this vegetable shops here or to the groceries, in some places they give you this very nice plastic sounding funny thing. You just cut a little bit of it. Yeah. Well, the idea is you end up with a little stripe of this plastic bag around 4 or 5 millimeters. Sorry. Once you have it, and you have this little stripe of 4 or 5 millimeters, just pick it up like this, a little bit, bend it. Doesn't matter that it's not perfect. And at this point, just tie it in like that. You tie it in 1 or 2 turns from the side. Take the other one, bend it back, and tie it over. Okay. At this point, I have my 2 wings already, which I can cut off here. Always cut them a bit longer than the body, because you can trim it off, doesn't matter. And most of the ants, they have longer wings than the body. Now come back with this one, with the foam, and don't squeeze it, don't stretch it, just come back softly and build up a little head. The head must be much smaller than the thorax, because you know, heads in the ants are quite smaller than it's just the way it looks in nature. So you will end up with a body that will be more or less the same. And then simply tie off there. Okay, now thread off. Now you can stretch it a little bit and cut very near the foam. Cut it off. And at this point, there's 2 more things to do, which are in fact not obligatory, but I like to round up my wings. But that's something that actually is not that important. Yeah. And this, already you have one more thing to do, and this is according to me. I've seen this another fly fisherman who does it when they tie a traditional hackle in this way. What they do is that they trim off the bottom part. This way you don't have the whole way around with the hackle, but you only have the fibers going to the sides, and then your fly will just stand in water nicely and deep, and you will not have those fibers sticking into the water, which actually there is no insect who does that in real life. So what I'll do is I'll just trim it off here. See? And this way I also diminish the amount of legs that my hackle will be sticking around, because an ant doesn't have 500,000 legs. In fact, there are only 6. So that's also something to consider when you're tying. What keeps the fly floating is in fact, so you see that of this way, all the fibers are sticking out, they're gone, sticking down, sorry, they're gone. In fact, yeah, this is my version of an ant. It's a cracker, it's a good one. I'm sure that it had got many fish to me and to many friends I gave it to. So there you go. I a flying ant. I hope it's useful. The only thing I have to do now is knock the barb off, and I have a flying ant. Thanks for watching, and maybe see you next pattern.